So by now, we already know what is API Gateway, we know how to call it, and we know how to configure its endpoints. But there's still one more question that we need to figure out before we deploy our Lambda functions. And the question is, what is the format of the data that is sent from API Gateway to our functions? And the format of this data depends on what integration mode we select. And there are two integration modes, and let me explain to you how they differ from each other. So when we send our request to our Lambda function, one option is just to send all information about this request to a Lambda function. And then our Lambda function should form an HTTP reply, a JSON object that should have a specified structure. And then this object is converted into HTTP reply and is sent to a user. Now, this option is called proxy integration. And this is generally a recommended option. It is easier to use, it is easier to configure. And if we use this option, then the event passed by API Gateway will have the following structure. So, for example, it will have a field called pass to specify that contains a pass in a URL of a request. It will have a list of headers passed with a request. It will have a method that was used, like HTTP, like GET in this case. It will contain pass parameters, so API Gateway will parse the pass value here and will extract this value into this object. And it will also contain body of our request, which in this case is empty. And it has few more additional fields that you can explore on your own. Now, if we want to return a reply from a function that has a proxy integration mode, then we need to give it the following shape. So first of all, we need to return a status code, which is 200 in this case. We can provide additional headers, which is just cache control here. And we can specify a body, which is a string, and here we want to return a JSON object, so we need to first convert it into a string and return it to a client. Now, the second integration mode is called non-proxy integration, and the way it works, when API Gateway receives a request, it converts this request object into an event of a different shape using mapping template. Now, when our Lambda function returns a reply, this reply is now passed to a different mapping template, and this reply is converted into HTTP reply. Now, you may think that those templates are implemented using Lambda functions, but instead they are implemented with what is known as velocity template language. And what it does, it defines a template, and it allows us to build an output object from an input. And it defines how to convert an input into an output. And we won't use it a lot in this course. We'll use proxy integration that doesn't require using VTL, but I'll still show you how it looks like. So here is a simple example of a VTL transformation, and it may look a bit alien to you, but basically what happens here is we define here the object that should be produced by this template, and we essentially define that this object should have three fields: name, description, and caller name, and those fields are extracted from the input that is provided by API Gateway, which is a request that was sent to API Gateway, and we extract bits from the input to form the output object that will be sent to our Lambda function.